One of the most surprising theories in the panorama of conspiracies is that which has been defended by the British researcher and writer David Icke, who since 1990 devoted himself to searching for the reptiles that control the world. Apparently, David Icke's idea of a conspiracy of lizards may seem like idiocy, but the investigating experts who have come to study Icke's theses in many occasions to try to dismantle their eccentric visions have found with a surprise that the theories of this English writer are of absolute solvency and that they are perfectly structured and documented. In his writings, Icke warns that world control resides in a few magnates, powerful people from the economic, political, and world royalty spheres who are descendants of a race of humanoid reptiles that have always controlled all of humanity. These dominant lizards are those who wield world power through the occult society of elite Illuminati. That the control of the economic and political power of the world is structured from occult secret societies, followers of the devil, is something that was already known. The great novelty introduced by David Icke is the element lizard, that is, to say that these controllers of world power are reptilian beings and that they transform their form. David says that most of the world leaders of any social structure, like George Bush, the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, and even the royal family of England, are 7-foot-tall, humanoid reptiles that feed primarily on blood. Snake beings, also called, can transform their physical appearance from human to reptile, depending on whether they are in private or in public at that moment. According to an interview with David Icke, Christine Fitzgerald, a confidante of Princess Diana, tells that Diana told her that the royal family were reptilian aliens and that they could change shape. David Icke states that September 11th is a conspiracy by the reptilians to enslave through fear of humanity, George Bush being a servant of the lizards. David Icke's theories may be difficult for some to understand, but what is undeniable is the fact that when you listen to his propositions, he makes a very good discussion with his case. This is a time of great changes in the world. People have started to wake up, deciding for themselves what resonates as truth and what does not. We live in an era of massive information exchange, thanks to the advent of the internet. People are connecting from around the world to share knowledge and create changes on a large scale. The most important thing that each of us must do during this time is to inform ourselves as much as possible. In short, we are the ones who have the power to create what we want as a society. When we tune into our true potential, everything is possible. The secret history of the reptilians, their agenda uncovered. The possibility that non-human intelligences have visited our planet and even copulated with primitive human beings is found in many of the ancient cultural and religious records of our civilization. There are historical records that reveal, in addition, that these intelligences were reptiles in their nature, or at least have been represented throughout human history as reptilian beings. From the serpent Nahash in the Garden of Eden to Atum, the Egyptian serpent man or Quetzalcoatl, the serpent god of the Mayans, to the double helix serpent of Enki in ancient Sumerian literature, the serpent has been the omnipresent link between humans and the gods of all cultures. Archaeologists and explorers discovered in 1951 a library with more than 22,000 ancient tablets in what is now Iraq. These tablets contain what we know to be the earliest writings of the Earth and date back to about 6,000 years ago, when this region of the Earth was known as Mesopotamia, Samaria, and Babylon. On the tablets, a story is told that is also reflected in the book of Genesis of the Bible. The tablets tell the story of a great flood that changed the face of the earth and its inhabitants, and tell the construction of a tower and the creation of the spoken word. What in the Bible is related as the Tower of Babel and the Great Flood? On the tablets and scrolls found there was included a star map of what appears to be our sun and its planets, since the parchment also includes detailed descriptions of our solar system that corresponds to what we know of it today. The funny thing is that this map includes a planet or spacecraft that orbits between Mars and Jupiter, which they call Nibiru. According to the text found, Nibiru entered our solar system and collided with the planet Tiamat. The remains of Tiamat became Eridu, which is the Earth as we know it today, and the rest left over from the explosion became the asteroid belt. Nibiru took an orbit around our Sun that took 3,600 years to pass between Mars and Jupiter. In recent years, and based on patterns of our solar system, some astronomers have been looking for a planet with this same orbit, which led to the discovery of the planet Pluto. The search for Nibiru continues. According to the found texts, this detailed information was given by the Anunnaki, and they are described as a race of reptilian gods who came to Earth. It is written that they came to extract gold and other elements to use them to protect the atmosphere of their planet. This theory of reptilian gods of the heavens creating man is not at all unusual, and we can find traces of reptilian history in most regions of our planet. In Japan, the emperors claim to descend from dragon gods who came from heaven. Australian Aborigines teach about a reptilian race that lives under the earth and rules over men. They believe they are descended from a race of human dragons. In China, they believe that Serpent Queen Nu Kua interbred with men. In India, these reptilian gods, the Nagas, are called and claim that they planted their royal families. In Eastern countries, there are traces of a serpent race that created man. In the book of Genesis, speaking about giants that came from the heavens to reproduce with the daughters of man, they were called the Nephilim. In Africa, they are called Chitori, children of the serpent, and the kings of Africa claimed that they descended from serpent gods that came from heaven. The Mayans spoke that their ancestors were snake people, and the Aztecs said they were created by a female snake. The American Hopi Indians believed that the gods of heaven came down to reproduce with their wives, and referred to them as their snake brothers. Reptilians live in long underground tunnels and can inhabit other dimensions. The Reptilians have constituted the group of the Illuminati, beings of human aspect, but under the orders of the Reptilians who follow very specific political agendas to perpetuate themselves in power and control the world through media manipulation, genetics, and the search for a government-centralized world. The Illuminati would have as mission the establishment of a new world order. Is there a possibility that we may be, or that we have always been enslaved by these leaders? The Chitori, the story of the reptilian god who reigned Africa. For decades, the elders of some tribes in the world claimed to have the keys to knowledge. From these different traditions, they speak of beings known as Chitori, reptilian beings that control humanity. The word Chitori means those who make the law. It is believed that these beings did many things to us when they arrived on Earth. According to the Zulu Sanasi Credo Mutwa, the Chitori descended from huge ships and had the appearance of terrifying reptiles. Chitori, reptilians in ancient African tribes. The shaman described them as 3-meter-tall creatures with different social classes. The upper class, or royalty, are those Chitori who had several horns on their heads, had wings, and a huge tail. Unlike the warrior or lower class, who had large eyes with vertical pupils, a rounded face, no horns, wings, or tails. African shamans preserve the entire history of the ancient culture of their tribes. Information that has been tried to be destroyed on different occasions. These legends tell us situations very similar to what religion and the Bible dictate, but from a different perspective. Credo Mutwa begins this account by describing the early days of the world. The world was only covered by a blanket of mist. People could not see the sun except for a dim light. A steady drizzle fell continuously, and the light of the moon barely illuminated the night sky. There were great forests and jungles that covered the earth, and people lived in harmony with the world. Some legends say that humans did not have the ability to speak and only communicated through telepathy. The Chitori then appeared in great flying vessels that emitted a terrible noise, crossing fire in the sky. These beings told the humans that they were the great gods of heaven, and that they would be in charge of giving them great gifts. These gifts included the loss of any mental capacity they possessed. They no longer had telepathy, nor the power to travel spiritually or see the past and future. These were replaced by the ability to speak. However, humans saw how this new ability divided them, as the Chitori created languages to prevent them from being understood. Kings and slavery. In addition to the great disputes over the different languages, they also chose men who would rule the rest, punishing anyone who did not obey them. This caused feelings to appear that had never been expressed: insecurity, fear, anger. In this way, humans began to build villages, further separating themselves from the unity that characterized them. Little by little, the world began to divide into borders that were defended by fire and death. With this separation, greed was born. Each village wanted to be more powerful than the other, and this was only possible through wealth. The Chitori also forced humans to excavate the earth. Women searched for valuable minerals and metals. This is how gold, copper, and silver were discovered, and of these, new materials never seen before. These beings were also responsible for removing the blanket of mist that existed in the skies. Thus, humans saw the stars for the first time. Using the people's astonishment, the Chitori said the following: "From now on, the people of Earth have to believe that God is in heaven, and they have to do things on this earth to please the God who is in heaven." At first, humans believed that God lived on Earth because everything grew from it. However, humanity now believes that a kingdom inhabits the heavens. The belief that our God inhabited an underground kingdom is thousands of years old and was in fact believed to be a woman. That is why she was called the Cosmic Mother. A fascinating legend that keeps many similes with other ancient stories in different civilizations, especially with that of the Anunnaki in ancient Sumeria. It even bears certain similarities with the Bible, such as the introduction of language as an object of division between the races. So, the Reptilians continue to rule our world.
If you enjoy this video and want to see more like it, please consider subscribing to us and hitting the like button. Feel free to write a comment below and suggest which theory you want to see next. If you'd like to further support this channel, please consider joining. Our membership link will be found in the description box below. We appreciate your support, and as always, thanks for watching.